Hello everybody, and welcome to the final 31 Days of Horror Season 2 episode. Alright, this is the final one for Season 2, because it's the 31 Days of Horror, of course. And, well, there's a little movie that came out this year, actually only like 15 days ago from the time this is uploaded, and that movie just so happens to be another entry in the Halloween series. But today, I'm not just going to do a review of that movie, I'm going to do a ranking of the entire series. Last finale, what I did is I reviewed every single one, but I never ranked them. And well, some of my opinions have changed just slightly, and some of the scores have been affected after viewing of Halloween Kills. So, without further ado, we are going to rank all 12 Halloween movies, including the 2 Rob Zombie remakes, in this video. So, without further ado, let's hop into number 12. At number 12, we have Halloween Resurrection, which, I mean, what other movie is this bad in any of the other series that include Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Child's Play, the Leprechaun series? Halloween Resurrection might be one of the worst horror movies ever made, in my opinion. As a matter of fact, it, to me, is pretty much just one of the worst movies I've ever seen. This is one of the most insulting movies I've ever seen to Jamie Lee Curtis, one of the most insulting movies ever to Michael Myers as a whole for Halloween. It's just an overall terrible movie, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. Moving on to number 11. Number 11, I have Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. This is when the Thorn trilogy started to truly develop into the idea of the Thorn, you know? We finally see that Thorn tattoo on Michael Myers' wrist, but what this movie lacks is a lack of good characters, lack of good performances. The Michael Myers mask in this movie looks absolutely horrendous, and overall, a very bland and hollow experience, besides the little scene where Danielle Harris is inside of the vent and Michael Myers is going after her. That is one of the most tension, that is one of the movies with the most, or that is one of the scenes in this series with the most tension, but truthfully, Halloween 5 is a complete mess all the way through, but is definitely not nearly as bad as Resurrection. So, coming at number 11 is Halloween 5. Moving into number 10. At number 10, I have Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie. I personally don't mind this movie. I don't think this movie is bad, but I don't think it's great. It's got some good things that I like about it, with Michael Myers being the scariest, or not necessarily scariest, but definitely one of the more brutal incarnations of the character. And I like some of the things going on with the movie, especially how it's more a character study about Michael Myers, more a character study about Laurie Strode and how people deal with the aftermath of that. Plus the scene where her best friend is killed in the movie, and we get Brad Dourif's emotional scene of him finding his daughter actually dead this time is so heartbreaking. But the things I don't like in this movie, Malcolm McDowell as Dr. Loomis is an asshole. He ruins this movie just about every time I watch it. I don't like that Michael Myers speaks, and sometimes just that white horse does not need to be there. I think that if you were gonna do an angle where he's seeing visions of his mom, it could have been better than that. And yeah, outside of the gratuitous nature of it, outside of some of the really, really unlikable characters in this movie, I think it's okay. It's got some moments, but yeah. Coming at number 10 is Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie. Moving into number 9. At number 9, I have Halloween 6, both versions. So, what do I like about the producer's cut? The producer's cut, what I like about it is I like some of the, I like how it's a more consistent story. However, the ending is pretty shit. With the theatrical cut, though, what I like is I like some of the more musical scores, and I like some of the kills in that movie just a tad bit more, and I like the ending to that movie more. But what I don't like in the theatrical cut is the really shitty editing. I do not like any of that fucking flashy, stroby shit that we got going on in it, and I just also don't like a lot of what's going on with it, because a lot of it is very disjointed. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, why is Dr. Loomis in the hospital if Jamie died earlier in that version, you know? So overall, the theatrical cut is just about as bad as the producer's cut, but truth be told, I think they are enjoyable. Both have their strengths, both have their weaknesses, but I think they both can be enjoyed. And so coming in at number 9 is Halloween 6. Moving into number 8. At number 8, this is going to be a surprise for most people, is Halloween H2O. So, I think H2O is one of those movies that either you love it or you hate it. And I'm kind of more towards the latter. I just think this movie's bland. I don't think there's a whole lot going on. It's a lot more of rinse and repeat, and there isn't enough going on, like brutality-wise, to make it feel warranted as a sequel. Not to mention the Michael Myers mask in this movie is debatably the worst mask in this movie, or debatably the worst mask in this entire franchise, especially when we get to the CG mask. And I hate the fact that I see Michael Myers' eyes all the fucking time in this movie. So overall, I think Halloween H2O, it has some decent moments, and I like Laurie Strode, of course, being back after Donald Pleasance died. But honestly, it's just too bland for me. It's not what I want from a Halloween movie, and there's too much fake jump scares in this. There's too many fake jump scares in this movie. So, yeah. Moving on from Halloween H2O, let's hop into number 7. At number 7, we have the original Rob Zombie Halloween. So, the Rob Zombie remake of the original Halloween, there's a lot to it I actually like. I like the bigger backstory to it. I like how it kind of goes the nurture route versus the nature route that John Carpenter took in the first one. I like how in this movie he's not born as a killer, but is slowly over time becoming that killer. And I like some of those moments where he's in the hospital, and I like how he is just a force to be reckoned with. I like pretty much everything until it starts to rehash the original, but even then, that stuff isn't terrible. There's some decent moments in it, but I think one of my favorite moments is when Dr. Loomis just screams when Michael Myers shows up right outside of their car, and he's like, "What the hell?" That's probably one of my favorite moments in the entire series, just because I find it so funny. Why would he scream, "What the hell?" if, once Michael Myers shows back up? Is he just, frustrated that this fucker won't die? Anyways, yeah. The Halloween remake has some decent moments, for sure, and I like the backstory a lot. I just think that there are some questionable choices with Love Hurts, with a lot of the gratuitous nature of it, but it is a Rob Zombie movie, and some of it is just a little bit too much there's a little bit too much going on at times with, some of the violence and some of the scenery, but yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's just, a more blunt force Halloween movie, and yeah, comes at number 7. Moving into number 6. Now we're into Halloween movies that I actually do think are good, or at least great. So, moving into number 6, we have Halloween 2 from 1981. I think this movie has a lot going for it, and I like a lot that this movie has. This movie manages to be one of the better Halloween sequels and one of the better Halloween movies for a few reasons. One, it takes place the same night. It's a good continuation. It feels the same. The only major difference between this movie and the original is, of course, how violent it is. There's a lot more bloody scenes, and there's a lot more nudity in this movie, or at least gratuitous nudity with the one girl who gets her face melted off inside of the hot tub, or I don't know, hot tub, boiling water, whatever, something like that. And just, yeah, I mean, outside of that though, this movie has a great feel to it. It's got better production to it, but the only thing that lacks is some of the tension, and the only thing that it's lacking is some of the tension from the original, some of that suspense, some of that nuance. And though Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance give it their all in this movie, I think the biggest problem with this movie is just sometimes it's just a little too slow. It needs to get to the point, and I personally am not the biggest fan of the whole idea of Michael Myers being related to Laurie Strode. More on that topic later. And yeah, so coming in at number 6 is Halloween 2. Moving into number 5. At number 5, we have Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So, I like this movie only a tad bit more for one reason, and it is that it's something new. It is something interesting. The soundtrack is also very good. I like Tom Atkins in this movie, despite him being an asshole. I think Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is a severely underrated movie, and I think deserves a lot more attention than it gets. A lot of people hate it for it not having Michael Myers, and that how he never shows up in the movie. And I sit here going, well, do you need Michael Myers to have a good fucking horror movie? No, you don't. And I'm somebody that actually likes Season of the Witch when I choose to look at it as not necessarily a Michael Myers movie, but just a Halloween movie that takes a different story, which personally, I enjoy it. I enjoy a lot that goes on in the movie. I like some of the kills. I think that's the brutality of kids getting suffocated by the fucking masks, and then all of a sudden bugs and all this other creepy shit starts coming out of their faces, like the worms coming out of the pumpkin. Yeah, disgusting. But, you know, I love this movie. Got some great moments to it. Got a good soundtrack. And yeah, that's number 5. Moving into number 4. At number 4, we have Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. This, for the longest time, was my favorite Halloween movie until I grew up and got a little bit wiser. And I think Halloween 4 is a great, great horror movie, great slasher movie, and without the newer sequels, is one of the best sequels in this entire series, if not the best sequel up until, you know, the newer movies. And I think that this movie has a lot going for it. Michael Myers in this movie is very brutal, very scary. He's got some great kills in this movie, especially with the shotgun going through the wall, the crushing of that boyfriend's head, right? There's some great moments in this movie. And one of the other things I really like about this movie is the atmosphere. The opening credits is great, but there's no doubt that this movie would not be as good as it was without Danielle Harris and without her sister in this movie. These two make for one of the best pairings of siblings in any horror movie I've seen. These two feel very believable, feel very relatable. They have great chemistry, and they are what makes this movie so good. And so enjoyable for me. The stakes are high. There are some great moments with them where they're trying to, you know, get along, figure out what's the plan for Halloween. And ultimately, I really do enjoy Halloween 4, despite the despite the ending where he gets shot to death and then Danielle Harris kills her stepmom. I think the ending to this movie is decent. I just wish that they would have carried on with that idea, because Donald Pleasance's performance at the end of this movie with him seeing Danielle Harris kill her mom is such a good moment, but they never followed up on it, and I wish they did. So that's Halloween 4 for it. Moving on from number 4 into number 3. Coming in at number 3, we have Halloween Kills, and I'm gonna just keep this relatively simple. So Halloween Kills just came out literally 15 days ago, and I've only seen it once. My opinion might change, but as of this moment, I think it is a great, great slasher movie, a great horror movie. I really like a lot of this movie, a lot of what this movie has to offer. As a matter of fact, I think everything about this movie is fan-fucking-tastic until the ending. So the biggest thing that I like about this movie is how we get a lot more like explanation for Michael Myers' character that isn't stupid. It's not like as if he's related to Laurie Strode. It's not like as if he's a cult. It's not like as if he's a pawn of a cult. He's a kid. He was a kid, and he looks out at Haddonfield as being almost like his like playground, almost like as if everybody in Haddonfield is his little action figure, and he can do whatever the hell he wants to do with them. Like, you know how with action figures, you would go ahead and make them fight, and one of them would die, right? And maybe both of them would die, and that's kind of how he sees it. He sees this as his playground, and that's why he decorates the bodies in all these weird ways. And I like the fact that his goal was never to go back to Laurie Strode, but rather to go back home. And that is probably one of the best things for this series I think it ever needed, because the biggest thing is that the rivalry behind Laurie Strode and Michael Myers was always like a key thing, but it didn't make it feel as scary as it could have been. But now that we know that Michael Myers wants nothing to do with Laurie, but he just wants to get home, and anybody that gets in his way of getting home is a problem, makes it that much more scary because he is fucking brutal in this movie. This is the most brutal Michael Myers we have ever had. He is scary in this movie, and he's got some amazing moments. This is the best incarnation of the character yet, and not to mention the flashback scenes where we got this incredible look, where they managed to recapture the look of the 1978 film and Donald Pleasant's look-alike in this movie, playing Dr. Loomis. What a great moment, but easily the ending is what kills me. I do not know if I necessarily liked the ending for a few reasons. One, I don't know if I liked the ending because it was pretty poorly edited and like it just like was really hard to follow. And two, a lot of it just doesn't add up, and I'm pissed off at the fact that number 3, a lot of the main characters fucking die. And I don't know if I'm going to spoil who dies because it's a pretty new movie, but truthfully, a lot of main characters fucking die during the last 15 minutes of it, but the last 5 minutes are what I have a problem with. So due to it being only the last 5 minutes I have a problem with, and I pretty much like everything else, I'm going to go ahead and give Halloween Kills an 8.5 out of 10. I truly think that in hindsight, this movie is a very strong entry in the series, but honestly, yeah, that ending needed a little bit of work. So moving on from number 3 into number 2. Coming in at number 2, we have Halloween from 2018, which I have stated how many times I fucking love this movie. This movie has some of the best scenes in the entire series and has some of the best tension. Laurie Strode in this movie is a fucking badass. Michael Myers is great in this movie, and I like a lot of the small little things. I like the plot twist with Dr. Sartain despite him putting on the mask. I like the plot twist because at least it makes sense, and of course, some guy who studies with Michael Myers for all this year might go insane himself, and I personally really like that. I like a lot of the action scenes in this movie. I like the kills. This is a very good Halloween movie. This is everything I wanted. It's a good fan service movie. It is a good mainstream movie. It is just a good movie in general, and I think Danny McBride and David Gordon Green did a great job handling this movie. So, moving on from number 2 into what the fuck is, of course, number 1. The original Halloween from 1978. I did a whole essay on this fucking movie already, explaining why the movie is so good, the idea of the boogeyman, how he is creepy in this movie. The score is fantastic. The lack of blood and gore, and adding into the whole idea of paranoia, claustrophobia, the idea that you can't get away from this guy, despite only being a $300,000 movie, it still packs a punch and is such a good movie, in my opinion. This is a perfect example of a slasher movie. There's a reason why this movie shot the slasher genre into the limelight. It did not start the slasher genre, but it made it popular, and it made people start paying attention more to Texas Chainsaw, Black Christmas. It led to the creation of other movies like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, the Friday the 13th movies, the Child's Play movies, the Hellraiser movies, on and on and on and on. Prom Night. We got so many fucking big movies that came out because of how inspired they were from Halloween. And Halloween is a masterclass in horror cinema. And to those who don't watch it and don't like it, I think you guys are severely missing the point to the movie. And yeah. So that's all 12 Halloween movies ranked. And guys, thank you for sticking with me through all 31 episodes, all 31 fucking days. If you didn't, then fuck you. Nah, I'm just joking. If you didn't, that's okay. I get it. Like, sometimes you just can't get to that shit. And obviously, if you're not interested in it, you're not interested in it. But don't worry. I'm not going to keep doing this stuff for November, December, or anything like that. I'm still going to be doing my normal series of Scariest Media. I'm going to post a little video about an update to Iceberg Chronicles that, sorry guys, it's kind of some bad news about it. And I think that I'm just happy I did this in 31 days. I'm happy I got it done. I'm happy that people watched these videos, and those that stuck through it all the way through and watched every single video, I appreciate you a ton. I didn't get a whole bunch of viewership for it, which is okay. I'm just happy that I did it. It was like a little thing for me, but you know, unless there's a demand for it, I might not do this again. But thank you guys for sticking all the way through with me to the end. And guys, my name is Brendan Reviews. I hope you guys have a great day, evening, night, whatever the fuck time you guys are watching this. And there's one more thing. If you stuck through this video all the way to the end, shit, look in the description. We're not done just yet. We got one more episode to look after. I'll see you all there.